Hello everybody, it's Lathril here with another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech. Today we are looking at Lathril, Blade of the Elves. She is a 4 mana 2/3 with Menace, and whenever Lathril, Blade of the Elves, deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. We can tap her and 10 untapped elves we control, so each opponent loses 10 life and we gain 10 life. We are going to win the game by pumping up Lathril, connecting with her, creating a bunch of tokens and draining our opponents out. Due to the fact that we are creating a bunch of elf creatures, we will also pump those up, for example with Elvish Champion, a 3 mana 2/2, and other elf creatures get +1/+1 and have Forest Walk. Be careful with this one if you're also playing against another player with elves. Jiraga Warcaller, 1 mana 1/1 with multi-kicker for 2, and Jiraga Warcaller enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Jiraga Warcaller. Leaf Crowned Visionary, 2 mana 1/1. Other elves you control get +1/+1. And whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1 green. If you do, draw a card. Dwynnen, Gild Leaf Dane, 4 mana 3/4 reach, and other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever Dwynnen, Gild Leaf Dane attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. Elvish Archdruid, 3 mana 2/2, and other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. You can tap him to add 1 green for each elf you control. Imperious Perfect, 3 mana 2/2, other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. For 1 green and tapping her, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. And Canopy Tactician, 4 mana 3/3, other elves you control get +1/+1, and you can tap her to add 3 green mana. Your opponents will see that you are flooding the board with tokens, so they will try to interact with it. So let's either punish or protect our board. With Heroic Intervention, 2 mana instant, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. The board gets wiped, let's drain them out. Elderfang Venom, 4 mana enchantment, attacking elf creatures you control have Death Touch, and whenever an elf you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Poison Tip Archer, 4 mana 2/3 reach Death Touch, and whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. We are playing an elf tribal deck, so let's focus creature type cards, like Door of Destinies, 4 mana artifact. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. Kindred Dominance, 7 mana sorcery, choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. Crippling Fear, 4 mana sorcery, choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. Haunting Voyage, 6 mana sorcery, choose a creature type. Return up to 2 creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was foretold, return all creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield instead. Herald's Horn, 3 mana artifact. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it is a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Icon of Ancestry, 3 mana artifact. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. For 3 mana and tapping it, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card of the chosen type from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Let's draw some cards. Shamanic Revelation, 5 mana sorcery. Draw a card for each creature you control. And with Ferocious, you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Species Specialist, 4 mana 2/3, and as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. Vanquisher's Banner, nice anthem and also Carddraw, 5 mana artifact. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. Let's suit up Lathril. Whisper Silk Cloak, 3 mana artifact. Equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud. Coat of Arms, 5 mana artifact. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least 1 creature type with it. Umbral Mantle, 3 mana artifact. Equipped creature has 3 mana, untap it. This creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn and equipped for 0. Stoneforge Masterwork, 1 mana artifact. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. Cultist of the Absolute, 1 mana legendary enchantment. Commander creatures you own get +3/+3 and have flying, Death Touch, ward, pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Alpha status, 3 mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other creature in play that shares a creature type with it. You want to win more? You get it. Endrace Forerunners, 8 mana 7/7, Vigilance, Trample and Haste. When Endrace Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. Cradle of Behemoth, 8 mana 5/5 haste. When Cradle of Behemoth enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain Trample and get +X/X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Overwhelming Stampede, 5 mana sorcery. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain Trample and get +X/X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Wound Reflection, 6 mana enchantment. At the end of each turn, each opponent loses life equal to the life he or she lost this turn. 1000-Year Elixir, 3 mana artifact. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. For 1 mana and tapping it, untap target creature. And Eldrazi Monument, 5 mana artifact. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have flying and indestructible. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. If you can't, sacrifice Eldrazi Monument. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I would play in Lathril, Blade of the Elves. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say, see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.